All right, let's talk about Mike White. I thought he had a mostly good day in this one. Again, if you missed my first video last week when I talked about how he performed going up against the Chicago Bears, my thoughts were he looked very good, but it was a tough defense, so I don't know how much, as in tough as in not very good defense, so I don't know how much credit to give him. Well, here he went up against a more opportunistic defense, certainly. A defense, I think, that had a better way of playing Mike White. And this is a good example, actually, of kind of what the Vikings were doing to kind of counteract what Mike White does well, which is, stuff I love. I feel like too many teams these days will say, I don't want to change our game plan. We're going to do what we do. We're not afraid of Mike White. No, do what, attack your opponent's weakness. That's what the Vikings are kind of doing here, where this is the concept that the Vikings like to run. It's a 4th down and 2. It's zone coverage that they're going up against. That the Vikings are probably going to play a lot of zone. That's what the Vikings like to play. And so the way that the Jets usually counter that is with kind of concepts like this, where you're having a player kind of just sort of get into a gap in coverage. Right when this play begins, it's working out mostly as expected, but I do feel like the one thing that the Vikings were making just a conscious effort to do is play more aggressive on these underneath routes. That's where Mike White likes to go, so just pay more attention to those routes. Don't let them get so open. Now, as I say this, Elijah Moore on the other side of the field was more open here, but no pun intended. But again, you got to get rid of the football quickly. I'm not blaming Mike White for making this throw. In fact, the ball's already out of his hands at this point, so I get it. But it's just kind of showcasing, to me, this isn't a bad play by the Jets at all. It's just showcasing the Vikings having a good game plan heading into this game. Watch as Chandon Sullivan does a good job of coming in and knocking the ball away. That's also how the first interception happened, was on a very similar play. So that's what they were doing, and it was smart. Good way to kind of potentially counteract some of what the Jets like to do. But that's not the only way that you can counteract what the Jets like to do, right? I think about a play like this, which is a great example of, I think, what the Jets have struggled with this season, specifically with Zach Wilson, because he's been the quarterback for most of the season. Wilson really struggled going up against man coverage. It feels like Mike White did not struggle with it. In fact, Mike White kind of thrived in this man coverage situation, which is, I think, very exciting if you're a Jets fan, because typically it had kind of been, if teams are playing man coverage, you just lose. It feels like it's been like that for like 5 seasons at this point for the Jets, even, before Zach Wilson, but it feels like Mike White did a better job. Watch as this play begins, and you're going to see Corey Davis, who's running a route over the middle, and he has the inside leverage against the corner who he's going up against. So that's going to be key. It's Evans is the corner that he's going up against for Minnesota, and in this spot, there's definitely a window to make this throw, and it feels like Mike White times things very well. If I had to give one positive trait to Mike White, I think timing would be that trait, which is a very positive trait to have. Like, that's a very crucial thing. All the best quarterbacks in football have great timing, and I'm not saying he's going to be the best quarterback in football. I'm just saying he has one of the traits that some of the greats also have. Because watch how he puts this one perfectly timed to where Corey Davis can go up and make that catch. Just a really good play, and again, that's on a 3rd down, and this was right after the interception. So if you have an interception and then you're not able to get much going there, things start to feel a little bit worse, but the fact that you're able to make that play just makes everything feel a little bit better, and it also, again, is an impressive play from Mike White and a really good route as well. Heading over here, this is another example of, really, Garrett Wilson might end up being a star in this league. Garrett Wilson has done some really nice things, and part of why they're playing better against man coverage is because they have Garrett Wilson, who's getting open against man coverage consistently, which is definitely good. You see the route on the screen. It's a route that can work against this type of coverage, but watch how well ran it is. Mike White takes the snap. He runs a play action that doesn't really do much, but, it's fun. Maybe helps out the offensive line, give them a little bit of a extra time. Could do that potentially. But you see further down the field, when I said doesn't do much, just meant didn't impact, didn't get anyone out of position too much, which is fine. Doesn't always work out that way. But Garrett Wilson is open regardless. Did a very good job of being able to just run this route effectively. This is against Evans once again, and just get some separation. White puts it right on the money, and they're able to pick up a big chunk play there. So just being able to do that kind of stuff is a way that you can still be effective. And honestly, this offense feels a lot more complete now, in my opinion, when Mike White is out there because he can accomplish this kind of thing. And then going over to this play. So I talked about how the Vikings had a bit of a, I think, smart game plan to attack Mike White. I think they did a good job with their game plan. So I give them credit for sure. But the nice thing about going into a game where you see that an opponent has a really good game plan on you is, okay, well, it makes it really easy to decide you have to start changing things up. There's not really a decision to be had there. It's, okay, this underneath stuff isn't going to quite work out as well as we like to typically have it go. And the reality is, Mike White, all of his success in the NFL has come with that being at least part of his game. I think this is the first game where we really saw teams make an effort to take that away from him and still have him succeed. He had a couple games where he struggled, like that Bills game last year, but this was the first time I really saw him, to me, look like a complete quarterback, I think, and he's looked good in other games, but to me, this was probably his most impressive performance, even though the 0 touchdown, 2 interception performance might not feel that way. That's also why you can't look up box scores. But anyways, this is what the counter attack was for the Jets, is it's zone coverage, and you might be thinking, wait, what, you just have a deep route? That's not really much of a counter. That's kind of obvious. You can do that. And against, cover 4, where there's 4 guys back there, a deep route's not going to get much going, as the guys who are deep will probably just stay deep and cover that route. And to which the Jets say, exactly, they're going to stay deep. That's the whole point of this route. You then have a tight end who will start off blocking, but then he will run a further route. The hope is that everyone is focused on the only eligible receiver who appears to be attempting to receive on that play, and therefore when the tight end actually gets out there, he can get open. Watch as White runs this play action. That time it does do a lot, gets guys out of position, and you see he has a tight end who's just wide open. White makes the throw, good enough to get the completion. That's all you want, and they're able to pick up a big completion there. So well ran play, kind of a good, good schemed up play on that one for sure. But it was also, one of the things I talked about in my Justin Fields video this week is that if a team is game planning to stop your quarterback, and then because of that, it makes it easy to scheme stuff open if you're an offensive coordinator, that's credit to your quarterback, not an insult to your quarterback. And that kind of happened in this game with Mike White. And then finally, this play. I mean, this is a thing of beauty. Again, they weren't quite able to get it done at the end there, but this was what kept them alive and made it seem like they had a chance to get it done for a second. Man coverage, watch what happens. Mike White takes the snap. He's going to look down the field. He's going to fire down the field, and this was just after he took a hit. Not to mention, this is 4th down and 10, which is obviously the bigger deal there. This doesn't appear to be open. Looking down the field, I paused it right here. I know it's kind of blurry. When you pause it with the camera moving, that's kind of what happens. But just looking at it right here, nobody is thinking, oh, this is about to be a completion. This is going to have to take a perfect throw for a completion to be had, but a perfect throw it is. Corey Davis makes the grab, is able to pick up some yards after the catch on top of it. Just great stuff from Mike White, great stuff from Corey Davis, and the fact that they're doing this stuff is, it's exciting. And again, I still don't know how high of a ceiling Mike White has. I just don't. I know some people are ready to say this guy's, I don't know. People are going to get excited, and I think it's fair to get excited. Sure, I'm not going to take that away from you. I want to see him play against the Bills. I think that's going to be a real test. If he can play well against the Bills, it's done. He's not just the quarterback for this year. He might just be the quarterback because, that's a tough defense to play against. Only a couple games, but, he's passed every test this season so far. At least that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.